Welcome to ST World Affairs. I'm your host, Sanjeev Tanna. After almost 100 days in the White House, President Trump has learned that changing Washington policies is not so easy. I've been following up President Trump's campaign promises from his website and public comments. Has President Trump kept his campaign promises? So I thought it would be a good idea to review how well he has kept his campaign promises. First, let's talk about TPP. President Trump said that he would be withdrawing the United States from the Trans-Pacific Partnership, that's TPP. After coming to office, President Trump signed an executive order withdrawing from TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership trade deal. Well, TPP was already dead in Congress. TPP trade was designed to connect 12 nations in a complex trade rules tying USA to East Asia to compete against China. So collapse of TPP can be looked as gain for China. Next topic, NAFTA. In campaign speeches, President Trump suggested that he would demand for a better deal for NAFTA, the free trade agreement between Canada and Mexico. He also made a threat to withdraw from NAFTA if the others will not agree. So where are we now for NAFTA? Mexico is willing to discuss NAFTA, and Canada has shown openness for renegotiation, but President will require congressional approval to amend NAFTA. Withdrawal would spark a trade war that would damage the American economy. NAFTA is inactive. President Trump has yet to deliver his promises. Next topic, China. Before winning election, President Trump called upon China as currency manipulator and promised to impose tough tariff on imports from China as high as 45%. After winning election, President Trump is backing away in calling China as currency manipulator and also not in favor of imposing high tariffs. I think President Trump is broadly right. Many political pundits agreed that calling China now as a currency manipulator looks foolish. We could have done this thing a long time back. Now is not the time. China's surplus with USA is almost $350 billion. Imposing 45% tariff on imports would do more harm than good to American economy and American corporates' bottom line. Also, in the event China retaliate and impose counter tariffs on US goods, this could shut down some companies out of China. Many US semiconductor corporations rely on China in manufacturing and sales of chips and hardware. Companies like NVIDIA, SanDisk, Broadcom, Applied Materials, Intel, Qualcomm, Lam Research, and many more they are heavily invested in China. Non-tech sectors can also get impacted should China retaliate against USA in trade war. Casinos, chemicals, auto parts, luxury retails, and restaurant sectors could suffer reduce in revenue. I think President Trump is right about one thing. We need to renegotiate USA-China trade. It's fairly easy for China companies to start a business and operations in USA. Chinese companies can invest in USA startups and buy large corporations. Often buyouts by Chinese corporations are backed by Chinese government. In contrast, USA companies like Google, Yahoo, Twitter have failed to penetrate Chinese market because of censorship and stringent laws by China. Recently, ride-sharing company Uber backed out from China, surrendering $8 billion value business to Chinese homegrown ride-sharing company Didi. Uber's failure in China can be viewed as China favoring domestic companies. Often China's regulatory body don't allow data collection by foreign companies under national security reasons, and that becomes difficult for service companies to operate in China. You need to bring fairness in China and USA deal. Until that happens, I'm going to say President Trump have not kept his promise on China matter. Another topic, banning Muslims. Many of President Trump's campaign speeches were in favor of banning all Muslims coming to USA till USA authorities can figure it out extreme vetting policies. After winning election, President Trump issued 2 travel bans on several Muslim countries. Both got legal challenges, so no progress on this matter. Another topic, ISIS. During election campaign, President Trump talked about bombing S out of ISIS and defeating ISIS. After becoming president on April 13, 2017, USA forces in Afghanistan dropped a powerful non-nuclear bomb, GBU-43B, also known as Mother of the All bomb, targeting ISIS caves and tunnels complex located at Achin district of Afghanistan. Defeating ISIS is far from over, as ISIS are still functional in Syria, Iraq, Sudan, and Afghanistan. Next topic, Iran deal renegotiation. President Trump was critical to stop nuclear proliferation deal between Iran and USA. After election, Iranian leaders have reacted fiercely against the idea of renegotiation. So no substantial progress on Iran. Topic, immigration. I've got a list of things to discuss about President Trump's campaign promises on legal and illegal immigrations. Building a Great Wall across the US-Mexico border, deporting 11 million undocumented immigrants, deporting criminal, canceling fundings for sanctuary cities, limiting legal immigrations, and putting end to Syrian refugees. In case of border wall, roughly 20 companies will be chosen by US Department of Homeland Security to build 2,000 miles long wall across US and Mexico border. Who's going to pay for the bill? Not Mexico, at least not for now. Deporting 11 million undocumented immigrants, President Trump had softened his stance and now suggesting to focus only on 3 million undocumented immigrants with criminal records. President Trump administration has concluded a 6-week national-wide sweep and arrested 1,378 gang members. This was the largest undertaking by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, also known as ICE. So these are criminals involved in drug and human trafficking. President Trump did deliver what he had promised. Sanctuary city. First, what is sanctuary city? Well, there is no single definition of sanctuary city. Sanctuary city is kind of a policy to limit cities' cooperation with the federal government in effort to enforce immigration law. Most of the policies are meant for not cooperating the federal law enforcement on immigration policies. Some conservatives don't like these policies and want tougher immigration rules on undocumented immigrants living in the USA. On January 25, 2017, President Trump issued an executive order for enhancing public safety. To counter this executive order, San Francisco, Seattle, Chicago, Los Angeles, and many states have filed a lawsuit. So no progress. Next subject, America First policy. President Trump sworn in as 45th USA president, and in his inaugural speech, he said, quote and unquote, from this day onward, it's going to be only America first, America first. On February 2017, President Trump addressed Congress and mentioned, quote and unquote, my job is not to represent the world. My job is to represent the United States of America. Here is what is written in White House website about foreign policy. Trump administration is committed to a foreign policy focused on American interest and American national security. Peace through strength will be center of the foreign policy. This principle will make possible a stable, more peaceful world with less conflict and more common grounds. Defeating ISIS and other radical Islamic terrorist groups will be our highest priority. To defeat and destroy these groups, we will pursue aggressive joint and coalition military operation when necessary. In addition, the Trump administration will work with international partners to cut off funding for terrorist groups, to expand intelligence sharing, and to engage in cyber warfare to disrupt and disable propaganda and recruiting. And finally, in pursuing foreign policy based on American interests, we will embrace diplomacy. The world must know that we do not go abroad in search of enemies, that we are always happy when old enemies become friends and when old friends become allies. The world will be more peaceful and more prosperous with a stronger and more respected America. USA should not police the world. That's what President Trump wants. But here are a list of issues concerning foreign policies. North Korea is firing and testing new missiles. In Syria, President Assad used chemical weapons to Syrian people, and Russia's role is suspected somewhere here. Afghanistan and Pakistan are still harboring terrorists who want to harm West, including USA. In Iraq, USA is deeply involved, can't withdraw troops now, and that would be defeating against ISIS. Iran, Israel, Palestine, USA can't hide and escape from the responsibility for maintaining peace. And now Russia's meddling with American elections and President Trump's possible Russia connection prior to winning election are still matter of investigation and require clarity. So I guess we have to wait to watch how President Trump will emerge as successful and president for all Americans. So long, and see you next time.